Okay, so today we're talking about Jackson County highlights for 2024. Some of the really neat things that our volunteers have accomplished for us in the past year, maybe some of it a little bit ahead of that, and then maybe a little bit about what's up for 2025. We're going to talk about some of the special projects that we've done, and again look at some of the photographs that Karen has put together for us. Many are her own photos, right?
Well, mine and Don Whitworth.
And there's a few Don Whitworths in here. We have, like I say, photographs from Karen Greencamp and keepsake photography, but literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So we're sorting, we're editing, we're trying to make sense of everything. But today we want to focus on our volunteers and the neat things that our volunteers, and that includes all of you, have done for us in the past year. Sue Mayberry, I thank her so much. She's been keeping track of volunteer hours, all of our statistics, and I added up, she sent me 2024 results. I added them up by the month, and I believe we had 12,478 volunteer hours just last year. Does that sound right? That's amazing for a little organization like ours, and it just shows how special you people are and how, man, we just wouldn't be here without you. So we picked 3 things that we're going to talk about that we did during the year that were, notable for our historical society. And of course, the biggest one that we did, and it's the kind of biggest thing we've done in a long time, was the muster on the Maquoketa. And so many of you helped make that happen. It was extremely successful, and it brought a lot of money into the county, not just to us, but into the county. And so, like we said, we're hoping to make this countywide annual event. And I know that in the beginning we talked about it so much, we probably drove you all crazy, but there was so much to do. And so this time we're just talking about our volunteers and what they did. Okay, and it's time to talk about it because we're already starting work on Muster on the Maquoketa 2025. So we didn't get everything finished, Karen and I, but we worked on this, and it shows you a little bit. So as we go through these pictures and you see people that you know, or you recognize yourself, or you know something about it, then speak up. So it's just kind of for everything. And I told Karen she had to sit close. But this is just a smattering of things that our volunteers did for that event in September. And a lot of people did a lot of things that we don't have pictures in here of, but these are some of the main things. So this was our first one, as we said, and one of the first things we did was we made a float. And Jack Willie was the president, kind of the chairman of the float committee. We had a wonderful float, and we were in, Mary, how many? 4 parades?
4 parades.
We went to Bellevue, Preston,
Wyoming, and then
Maquoketa.
here. Wow.
So we did that to, advertise the fact that we were happiness and get people to come and get people to participate, people to volunteer. And you see Deb Holm there. She walked every one of them, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
She put on her hoop skirt, and she walked down the street and she handed out brochures and she answered questions and all of that. This little gal is Catherine Gallagher. She's actually a reenactor that lives in Maquoketa that helped us out quite a bit. And then Marilyn I can't remember the name. Thank you. Kim Snuff was wonderful. She was in 3 of the parades, at least I think.
Yeah.
And she sang old Civil War songs as our little float went through the parades. We found it better to leave it on this borrowed wagon that we had. Kendall Frost loaned us his wagon. Everybody participated in some way. But in the Maquoketa parade, did we pull over your truck, Mary?
Yeah, well, my truck, I think all the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think probably pulled, whether it was on the trailer or running on the sidewalk. But anyway, it was just a great thing. And Jack found all of these red, white, and blue things, and we got it all decorated up. So that was a big part of things. Kind of start things off. One of the other things that we did to raise money to get us going, because it took a lot of money to do this, Maquoketa Brewing was very, very good to us, and they gave us a month of July the month of July, where we can have fundraisers and things like that. So this is in the back of Macokota Brewery. And you see right there, Dennis Van, who isn't here today. But Dennis and Alice volunteered, how many hours?
Oh, a lot.
A lot. Probably hundreds of hours.
Yeah, probably.
Just finding wonderful trivia questions and that sort of thing. And so then you look around the room, and I know that this is Nancy Johnson. I don't know who else I see. These are just all local people that came to play Civil War trivia and support the event. And there's another one. I see Marilyn Willie right there, and Jack, and who else? A lot of people
I
came.
heard he did a marvelous job with that,
Dennis,
Heard that.
Dennis and Alice. Dennis was the kind of the master of ceremonies, right? He read the questions. And some of the questions were things that people might know. Some of them were very challenging. But the idea was just to get people interested and get people to learn. And to learn how involved the men and women of Jackson County were in the Civil War. Alice, can you think of anything else? They just,
Well, we tried to do the questions like you just said, and a lot of them were, well, we had a category that was Iowa connections, and we had a category that was Jackson County connections,
right.
so that we would get people, interested in how we were involved.
Yeah, our
with
part of it,
and
history.
our part of the world,
Yeah.
to make it personal.
Personal. There was a bake sale that went with it. We ended up making money so that we could do the things we had to do to put this on. One of the most important people, I think, to get the word out, because this is Terry Cregan, Mary's husband, and he was Jackson County's Captain Andrew Drix, our Civil War hero, as you can see. Terry went to no length. He had his uniform made. Everything had to be perfect, and then he was going out and talking to groups, talking to schools. He was just everywhere, out on the street handing out brochures, because this drew a little attention, right? And he did a wonderful job, and he was fun. And I think he
loved it. He
Yeah.
did.
But you can see his sword there, and of course our Jackson County story is the Civil War swords that were purchased by the people of Jackson County in 1860 and presented to our two Captain Drix. And anyway, he played the part to the T. He's going to already be going to the schools, and this is all of the schools in Jackson County, middle schools
Right.
in Jackson County, talking to 8th graders about the Civil War, about, and then they're invited to come, and they're busing. Terry did a great job. I think I have that picture out of order. Okay, on Friday of the muster, you all know that we had these children bust in from the 4 schools. 2 buses came from Bellevue, one from Easton Valley.
Easton Valley.
Macokota kids. We had 250 some,
Yeah, it was like 263, I think.
263 8th graders came to the fairgrounds and enjoyed this. This is our machine shed, and this is Nancy Johnson, who is standing in front of her family cabin, the Cornelius cabin, and she's telling the story of her Civil War grandfather, Alabama Jim Sutton. The famous guy who served for the North and he served for the South. And so anyway, she's a great teacher, and you can see that the kids are really enthralled. On that same day, the kids divided up into little groups, and here's another picture of them out doing something. Is that Terry, I think?
No.
Okay,
That's some of the instructors.
That's who?
Isn't it grand?
Oh, that
Yeah,
might be.
yeah.
That might be. Okay.
Yeah.
But there was so much for them to do, and I think most of them learned a great deal. The ones who wanted to learned a great deal. There were a couple boys in the background off shooting imaginary baskets and things like that. And I couldn't resist. I told them that's why women were taking over the world. Because all the girls were right up front and they were listening and they were soaking this all up. They were back there shooting baskets.
Yes.
Okay, so then that what happened to General? Okay, so Friday night, after the kids all went home and things calmed down, we had a really special program on Sunday night called An Evening with General Grant, and Pete Grady came and just did an awesome job. He talked about, I mean, he played his part like he plays for the Iowa Speakers Bureau, did a wonderful job. We had a packed house, and it was just a wonderful way to begin. He did a great job. And again, the Manns hosted him, sponsored him, took him to their house in between talking to these 263 eighth graders, which will wear you out. Took him home, fed him supper, let him rest a little bit so he could come back and do this for us. So we thank them again. Okay, then Saturday, we're not going to show you pictures of the muster because you've seen a lot of them. We're just talking about our volunteers today, okay? And one of the great couples that helped with this were Deb and Dan Holm, and you see Dan here. So that night we had a dinner and a dance, and it was a lot of fun. But you see it all getting set up here. Many of you helped set this up. Dan planned all the entertainment, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful event. And so they're getting ready for that. And there's a couple of our big supporters, David and Roberta Rosheim. They were so excited about the whole muster. They were just there for all of it and dressed all up for the Civil War ball. And so they had a lot of fun, and we thank them for their support. Another thing that happened during the thing were the support from the Genies was wonderful, and we appreciated that so much. They set up out in the front of the museum, and they taught people how to research their Civil War ancestors. I mean, everybody has heard that they had a grandfather, maybe they have a little picture somewhere in a trunk that they knew nothing about, and they were there to help people figure this out. And so this is a few pictures that Karen took, I think.
No, those are probably done yet.
Maybe Don took, of them getting ready to set up their display. And so there's Jerry and Barb as they're carrying things in, Joy and Dawn, as you see them getting everything set up. They made charts with photographs of the Civil War soldiers from Jackson County. So these are all, there were several of these, and they were all Jackson County Civil War heroes. And so they were there to teach everybody about our part in the whole thing. Pioneer Cemetery Commission, and we couldn't lay our hands on the other picture, but this is Dawn and Rosie.
Jerry and Rosie.
Jerry and Rosie.
Why did I say Dawn? I'm sorry, I'm looking at a boat. Jerry and Rosie, and they're setting up the Pioneer Cemetery Commission. Their signboards and things that were in the machine shed, I believe, right? And that was important for everybody to see. Here we are again, just getting things ready. Okay, another important part of this that our volunteers did, that such an important part of the whole thing. Lana Flegel ran the general store. Is that what we called it?
Yeah.
The general store. She and we had tents set up out front that Pat Gent helped with. We were able to take a lot of the artifacts that had been donated to us, but we couldn't keep. They weren't, either we had too many, they weren't from Jackson County, et cetera, et cetera. Things like old lanterns and trunks, big trunks, Civil War clothing. What else was there, Mary?
There was just all kinds of clocks, yes. And those were like the biggest sellers was the clothing, clocks, anything cast iron. And I mean, even the trunks, that we sold 2 of the 3, I believe.
Right. And these were mostly to the Civil War reenactors that came, that are always looking for that kind of thing. But this is just the beginning of getting it set up out there. And as you look, this is Boyer Hall, and as you look back into Lana's general store, you can see some of the things that she has out. They had baked goods, they had everything. And then though we don't have a picture of a certain young lady who worked so hard at this, in the front part of Boyer Hall is where we kind of made a little commissary for the reenactors. This is where we fed them breakfast 2 different days, and we gave them a dinner.
Yep.
Those were called bounties, and that was part of what we used to get them to come to our event instead of somebody else's. So that was their part back there. But Mary and Jack and
Deb.
Nicole, they were the main ones, right? Nancy maybe helped a little bit.
Yep.
They were in there cooking these magnificent breakfasts. They had sausage and biscuits.
It was sausage and eggs, and then one day it was
Gravy.
biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy.
Yep.
Okay. And then Maid-Rites.
Maid-Rites,
That we fed them dinner.
And
But-
chili.
Oh,
And the
that's
maid
right.
rights was for lunch on Friday, remember?
Oh, that's right, sorry. Okay, but this was a busy, busy place, and it's interesting that, there it is, you can see it a little, set up a little better, but there was wonderful homemade baked goods and all kinds of wonderful things in there. Is that the accordion? I can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had some old musical instruments that had been donated, but we didn't know, they didn't have a Jackson County collection. But this is the kind of things that the reenactors wanted. So we made a great deal of money and found good homes for some of that kind of thing. And so we were surprised because they had breakfast from 7 to 8. But while they were in there eating breakfast, they wanted to shop.
Yeah.
We weren't open yet. But anyway, they pretty much wiped us out of homemade baked goods and all that sort of thing. You see the guys in the red outfit? This is a Louisiana they're reenactors, but they portray a unit from Louisiana. So that's why the red uniforms, they look kind of strange, but you saw them out on the battlefield during the battle and that sort of thing. So I think this is the only picture of reenactors, but they truly enjoyed the general store. That's going to be a big hit for us next year. We need to open it earlier. We need to have treats for them,
Yes.
because that's where the big sales were going to be. But again, so many of you baked for that bake sale and brought things, donated things. So we just want to thank everybody that had a part. Then out in front of the museum, of course, the museum was open for people to go through and see our military exhibits and the exhibits that were up, like Nancy had made a wonderful exhibit of Alabama Jim Sutton, et cetera, et cetera. So people went through the museum, and there's our little Kara, my daughter. She's so wonderful. And she sat out there and she's selling raffle tickets and t-shirts. We sold many, many, many t-shirts. And we sold raffle tickets for the Revolver 1865 Navy
Colts revolver. Yeah.
Fully operational. And we sold tickets and we sold chances on our flag. But here she is out there selling tickets. And kind of coming to the end, this is Will Cornelius. And Will was the winner of the rifle. And some of you maybe never knew who won that because it was at the end of the last day. But there's Jack and Terry as they present him. He had left the fairgrounds that day, but they called him and said, "Hey, you were the winner." And I think in 3 minutes he was there. I mean, he was one excited young man. And so, went to somebody who's going to use it and can really appreciate it. So you had your choice. If you weren't really a gun person, $300 instead. But so that went to him. And then John Pulowski on our board and Jack and my son from Oklahoma won the flag. And so Dixie, tell us who carved the flag.
That was the one.
Oh, this is the one that John Pulowski made.
Yeah.
The one you saw earlier, Dixie's nephew, Austin
Yeah.
made. And so just really heavy duty to put in your man cave or
That
whatever.
one was a lot heavier.
This one was extremely heavy.
Yeah.
But John Pulowski on our board made this. And so we sold lots and lots of raffle tickets, and that was a good thing to have. And it just happened, the grain of the wood makes this row of stars look look darker, but that's just the way it worked, so. One of the flags had 29 stars, and that that was Iowa's flag for the year that Iowa became part of the Union, 29th state. And so this flag had 35 stars, I think. This was the flag that flew during the Civil War. There was more than one, but that was it. And there we are. Okay. Another really important thing that happened at Hurstville, and one of the most amazing things I think that Historical Society, other than saving the lime kilns to begin with, was what happened at Hurstville lime kilns during the year, and a little bit before. The almost unbelievable sacrifice that some of the men that you're going to see here did. We can't begin to show you all of the photos, and all of the guys that helped aren't even in the photos, but I just wanted you to see a little bit of what we accomplished and the hard work and the ingenuity of the men that did this. I truly believe that without them, the county conservation mows the yard there. But they don't have time to pull the weeds. They don't have time to fix the crumbling walls. They don't have time for other things. I truly believe without these men that you're going to see and hear about, that in a few years the lime kilns would be so overgrown and would just crumble away, and we wouldn't have them anymore. I truly believe that. They donated their time and their talent and an incredible amount of money. They used their own personal equipment, and they footed most of the bills. Cost the Historical Society very little in comparison. Maybe two examples of this, and I can tell you this because they're not here today. Otherwise, I would not be able to tell you this because they're very modest. But Rich Rockroar, he often spent entire days there. And not only was he there day after day after day, and we're talking about the whole year, not only was he there, but it was his truck and his trailers, his mower, his stump grinder, his skid loader that worked hour after hour, day after day, taking down trees, moving dirt, reshaping the grounds to improve the flooding, that sort of thing. He provided those to us for no charge. We didn't have to rent a skid loader at an exorbitant price. He donated that. When the tires wore out from being used so many hours, he replaced the tires, and he did not ask for a penny from us, even though we offered. He bought all the diesel gas to run this equipment those many, many, many days. And again, this went out for months. Now, if he ever finds out that I ratted him out, so none of you can say, please, don't, please. Just say, gee, great job out there, but don't go any further than that, okay? Because all of these people that work so hard, they've given so much, but they're very modest, and they don't want any special credit for this. But they've been so great. The other person that kind of did the same thing was Bob Sheets. And Bob Sheets is the person remaining that should be the most responsible for saving those lime kilns in the beginning. He was there back in 19, sorry, in the 1980s and 90s when we actually saved those lime kilns, and probably the person most responsible for that. But he too, hour after hour after hour, he was out there. And some of the things that he did with his own transportation and his own money. He went to Stone City, over by Anamosa, is that where it is? Okay, Stone City. He brought back huge slabs of limestone, and he talked them into donating them. And they were several $100s a piece. And that whole thing was going to cost like $2,700, which we would have to pay, got them to donate it. But he did the work, and he took the truck, and he brought them back, and he got the men to have, and I'll show them to you in a second, help put those in. They taught the county and the city that are not easy to get to donate things. I mean, you really have to work at it, to donate lots and lots of timber and wood chips and things like that so that they could make the trails, all donations because of their hard work, and they knew who to talk to and they got things donated. Even big iron beams and things like that, that, you know, it would have never happened without them. Bill Schwanker was our board member that coordinated all that. He too spent hundreds, Sue can tell us, hundreds of
And I
hours.
didn't even realize that, you know, they would put little notations what they were doing, and I didn't realize this was going on.
Sure.
And then the ones that Nancy Michael mentioned, I said, oh my gosh, did Nancy die? You know, but
I know.
she was there all the time.
So many people did so much, and it's just mind-boggling, the hours and their own money that they spent to get this done. So, Bob Garion, Junkie, out of the Junkie, did so much for us, bringing in his heavy equipment to move things, never asking a dime. So many volunteers, so many people. So here you see the picnic shelter that's there, and there's Kevin and David. Dave Kunzweiler. Not even a member of the Historical Society, but he sure helps us out a lot. They're putting a new roof on the picnic shelter so that we didn't have to pay to have it done. The Conservation Board kept saying to us, come on, you know, you gotta do something with that roof, it's rotting, it's dangerous, etc. So there they are. This is Terry Rubel. This is Bob Sheets, I think.
And Rich Rockwell.
And Rich Rockwell. No, that's not Rich Rockwell.
Yeah, it is.
I don't think so. Okay, maybe it's Rich Rockwell. Anyway, they were,
Picture is Rich.
okay. All right, they worked really, really hard. And then, like Sue mentioned, Nancy Flegel, she for over 25 years has worked out of the lime kilns, pulling weeds, planting flowers, just making it a little garden place that you can go and you can relax and you can. So she has done so much, but in 25 years, you can imagine how many hours she put in, and you will see her out there. When you drive by, you see cars there, you'll see this big old kind of a gray car, huge, with a huge trunk, with the back of the trunk, the foot of the lid of the trunk up, and she will have
Water bottle, a gallon water
yeah,
bottles.
maybe 25 or
Yeah.
30, because there's no water there. And she plants, starts all these flowers, and then if there's no rain, she carries water out there. I mean, it's amazing. And look what she does.
That's beautiful.
It's amazing. And the guys, as they worked out there, were so amazed because every day, cars from out of state, many states, would come by and people would stop and they would sit and they would enjoy. And back here is a bench. Is that your bench?
Mhm.
Mary donated a bench, and we dedicated that to her, and there's her bench, and her stone's here somewhere.
There it is, right there behind the daylilies. Right there. Yep,
Right
it's
there?
right there.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's the stone that we all gave her, engraved up. A little thank you to her. These are the stairs going up to the back of the kilns. They had rickety old wooden, they were bad. So they redid all of this. They put strong piping, so we've got good, strong things. This is in the wintertime, so it doesn't look very pretty there. And then the stones that I talked about that Bob Sheets got from Stone City, these big, huge limestone rocks. There's steps. This is at the top of the stairs. This is the rock crusher, and they put back the stairs that used to be there, right? So that you can walk along and all of this together will help people know how the kilns really operated. I mean, instead of just seeing four things sitting there, you really begin to understand how it all worked. I-beams that they got the county to donate from old bridges they had taken out. They got them, can you imagine how heavy that must be? These guys got them moved in there and put into place. And there it is when it's finished with them all, not all of them, but some of them lined up on top. Like I say, Bill Schwanker was the board member. He called the meetings. He scheduled the work days. Bob Sheets, Terry Rubel, Rich Rockmore, Jim Foster, Kevin Brown was there a lot of the time. A lot of people helped out. And there they are. Those are the kind of, this is Art Brandenburg. Some of you maybe don't know Art Brandenburg. He's not even a member. But he was out there day after day and got lots of things donated, and So it's just a good thing. But I think it's a great credit to the Historical Society and our wonderful volunteers that we could do something like this to save something so important to Jackson County history. And then I think that the third thing that the Historical Society did was to restore our old cannon, because, as you can see, it was kind of rusting away into nothingness. The wooden wheels were decaying, and we had to prop up the cannon because the wheels could no longer handle the weight. It was getting rusted and really in terrible condition. We tried for a couple of years to do something, but it never happened until Dick Kunow and Kevin kind of took charge. So this is Kevin's Avery tractor that he restored again. As you see it there, they're getting ready to move the cannon. Dick Kunow took it away. They loaded up, well, this is after it came back, I guess. Dick Kunow, at his own expense, furnished a huge truck to haul this thing, weighed 2,700 and some pounds without the wheels. So that's a lot of moving. He took it to Preston to be restored, to have all of the welding done. The welder there was extraordinary. He reimagined, refashioned ammunition box missing from the side. He made hinges exactly like the other ones to restore the whole thing. Dick Kunow took the wheels to southern Iowa to an Amish man, the only person we could find to restore these wheels. It was very expensive. He donated all of that. Then he went back and he picked them up and he brought them back. So I think, Karen, correct me, I think this is our forklift, and they're putting the wheels back on the cannon here, I think.
Yeah, they returned it to the fairgrounds with Kunaw's truck, and it was without its wheels at that point.
Okay, so Kunaw's
And
truck.
then they had to put the wheels on when they came back.
Okay, and they put the wheel, there they are putting the wheels on. So this is Larry Frett and Dick Kunow, I think, Phil Gent,
Yep.
and we're not sure who this is. I
I
thought,
think it's Kunaw's truck, but I don't know the fellow's name
okay, Karen thinks that this is the truck driver from Preston?
for Kunaw.
Bob Foster.
Well, I thought it was Bob, well, see, I put Bob Foster, but that was me. I'm saying that maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was Bob Foster, our guy from the Rock Island Arsenal. Karen thinks instead, because they were just dropping this cannon off, that it's the truck driver from Preston. Does anybody recognize him? From Kunaw's, that drove Kunaw's big rig to get all this moved. Anyway, it was a labor of love by so many different people that helped. And then here's the group again, Larry Frett and Dick Kunow and Phil,
John House?
John Hoff, and Roger Kyle
Yeah.
stopped in that day. So they're out there getting ready to move that. They worked day after day. And then I'm sure you heard how we tried so hard to get this cannon in the big door of Pearson Hall and get it into the museum where we wanted it to be now that it was all restored. These guys, we were just a couple inches short. These guys were determined that if they turned it just right, they could get it through the door. I will tell you that these guys, John Hoff, Kevin Brown, Phil Gent, Dick Kunow, they took the wheels off again. They tried to get it through the door. They tried for 2 days to move this cannon. They put it on every kind of conveyance you can think of to try to manipulate it through the door. Just get it at the right angle to get it through. It just did not fit. After 2 days, they finally gave up. And we put the wheels back on, and Kevin's little red tractor pulled it back out to the machine shed to keep it out of the weather. So, they tried. But here it is, our beautiful cannon, and many of you that were at the Heritage Dinner saw the cannon up close that night and heard Bob Foster from the Rock Island Arsenal talk about it. He did amazing research because we had no idea how rare that cannon was. We thought it was just a cannon, but it was really actually a very rare cannon. We call it our Spanish-American War cannon. He said this one was built just after the war, but it would be just, just like the others. And we had a representative number of Jackson County people that served in the Spanish-American War. So it's a great artifact for us to have. And as you remember, it's set out at the Sagers Museum for a very, very long time. So I just wanted to say a couple things about what might happen next year. Maybe start with the cannon. Because so much time, love, effort, money was spent to restore the cannon, we don't want to set it outside in front of the museum any longer. We don't want it to deteriorate, we want it to last forever. And it belongs inside the main museum on the fairgrounds in our military exhibit to be part of the whole story, but we can't get it in the door. So several of our very, very generous volunteers have donated the money that we can enlarge the back door to the museum so that we can get it in. We need another door there anyway because the one that's there is not making the insurance company happy, etc., or the fire marshal. So we needed to do that anyway, so we're going to put a bigger door back there because of their generosity with end of the year donations to the Historical Society. We can now put that door in and move the cannon inside to our military exhibit and have it be where it's going to be. So not quite the end of the story yet, but we plan to take very good care of this cannon. I can tell you a few more things that are going to be done by these same wonderful men at the lime kilns. Again, we're trying to put things there, artifacts that tell the story, so when people from other states that know nothing about it come, they can kind of see what happened there. And the building up on the hill, the old wooden rock crusher building, they have found a rock crusher. I mean, back in the day, the rock crusher was removed and it was salvaged. And so, you know, we have nothing. But they have found an old antique vintage rock crusher, which hopefully it's going to freeze one of these days. And when the time is right, they're going to put that rock crusher up above. There are also some of the dikes, the stone dikes that carried the trestles that brought the ore cars across the river from the quarry, across the river to the kiln to be burned. They are searching for ore cars, and they're going to put narrow gauge track across and put at least two ore cars up on it, so people can visualize what really happened there. They've looked at several, and I think maybe we have many old vintage pictures of how things were there, and maybe they have found someone who's going to recreate one or make one for us. So those are some of the things that are going to be happening at the lime kilns. And then we can tell you that work has already started on the 2025 muster on the Pocono. So hopefully you will all help us out. Everybody can play a part, whether you're in an organization or there's just so many ways to help. So we're going to be hard at work then this year again on the 2025 muster. And just so you remember, it's meant to be a county-wide event. It's meant to be something that the Historical Society makes a little money, yes, but it's meant to be something that brings people from all around the country, because there's so many Civil War reenactor enthusiasts that come to these events. They bring a lot of people into Jackson County where they'll spend their money and make us a better place. But as we try to tell our history of the Civil War, the wonderful, wonderful things that Jackson County contributed to this Civil War, we think that this is our main goal. But in the process, we want to help other organizations that are fundraising, trying to make it through. They come, they provide a service, maybe they sell cornbread or whatever, but they get to keep all their money. So it's to help everybody out. So we want it to be a county-wide event, something that Jackson County becomes known for. And everybody just kind of remembers that the second week in September of every year, come to the Pocono, we're going to have it. So anyway, big things that hopefully you can do to help out, because it takes everybody to make these things happen. So, any questions, any comments? I want to thank Karen for the hard work she's doing with all of these photographs. There are so many. Dan?
Is there a theme for the year?
There is a theme for the year. The theme for the year is to be, so each year the Historical Society picks a theme. we made the Civil War our theme last year because we were working so hard on all this. The theme that the board approved for 2025 is the 1920s. So like the Roaring 20s, that period of time. It's going to be difficult because Pat is such a big part of that, because we have exhibits relating to that, to the theme, always at the other museum during the year, and programs that wrap around that theme. We're going to really miss Pat when it comes time to put these exhibits together. So be thinking of ideas for the 1920s. I know Nancy wants to have a, what do they call the parties? Speakeasy. Nancy Johnson wants to have a big party and have a speakeasy kind of thing. But you know, there's prohibition. There were lots and lots of things that happened during the 20s. So please be thinking, because we need lots of ideas.
Is it the board that determines what the theme is going to be?
And then we look at them and we say, you know, we don't really have any artifacts that go with this, so you know, it has to be something that we have artifacts and things to use to develop the theme.
Another question.
Yes.
I'm curious how you determine Tuesday subject, their subject. Does the board have a hand in that? Is that all that your baby? You come up with that? You do a marvelous job.
That is kind of you, thank you. We truly believe everybody has a brown bag lunch in them somewhere, and we try to get as many people to come and do brown bag lunches as we can. Everybody knows about something. You know, something that's near and dear to them. We try to stay related to Jackson County. We let conservation do their nature thing, and we let the optimists and the Rotary talk about what's happening today, that kind of thing. So our niche is Jackson County history. So we try to keep it related. We don't want to travel on from the Holy Land, or we don't, you know, Jackson County related things is really what we want. But everybody's got a story. Everybody knows something, and doesn't take a lot of talent to stand up here and do this, I'll tell you. I can tell you, we have lots of pictures that we can volunteer to help with. If you've got pictures, it doesn't even have to be pictures. Phil Owens comes from Monticello, does wonderful brown bag lunches that never shows you a picture. So, you know, can be anything, can be all kinds of things. But we certainly would like, I would love it if there was somebody other than me standing here every single Tuesday, believe me. I would love it. And when there isn't, we just try to talk about people maybe who are in our Hall of Fame, who did great things for the county all the time. Or, you know, things like the first oil well, things that maybe people knew about at one point but have forgotten. Or maybe they never knew about Jackson County because we had a wonderful and a rich history. So, anyway. Any ideas are appreciated. Anybody willing to do one? Even more, Barb Mayberry is putting one together about the Ellisonian Museum, right?
Eventually.
She's working on it. And it takes, if you're going to do a good brown bag lunch, it takes a lot of time. That's why some of these aren't so wonderful. It takes a lot of time. But Sue Mayberry gives wonderful ones. Dan's given them, everybody has a brown bag lunch in them. So just let me put you on the list. I can tell you that there are 50 brown bag lunches left in 2025. And I can tell you that every one of those Tuesdays is available. So thank you all very much.